Hi there, I'm your host McAuley Tucker, and you're listening to The McAuley Tucker Show, the podcast where I sit down with some of the most accomplished and fascinating individuals in the entertainment and business industry. From celebrities to industry leaders, our guests offer unique perspectives and inspiring stories that will educate and inform you. Join me as I sit down with my next guest to cover their humble beginnings, challenges they faced, as well as their accomplishments in life. You are bound to learn something new, so sit back and enjoy the interview. Hey everybody, thank you for listening to another episode of the McAuley Tucker Show. Today I'm sitting down with Tisha Custodio. Tisha is an actor. She was recently involved in a Disney Plus show, Big Shot. It was a great program. It lasted 2 seasons and it had a lot of great people involved. And today I'm just sitting down to learn more about what it's like to be an actor specifically involved with this Disney Plus TV show, and hopefully even pass on some information to you guys on how you guys can be good actors as well. So sit back and enjoy the show. I guess first and foremost, what got you started in what you're doing, today, acting?
To start, I was a very shy kid when I was little,
Right.
and I really wanted to break out of my shell. So I realized that there was this Orange County School of the Arts, this high school that was near where I was living. So I auditioned, I got in to the acting program, and everything just started from there. It just like fell into my lap graciously.
And through that kind of experiences, like what did you learn you just mentioned, you're shy growing up, kind of going to this school and, learning this stuff. What were some of the key things that you learned at that school that have impacted your life even today?
Definitely the key things that I've learned have been no one is really making fun of you. They're just like, they're figuring out their own thing. So no one's like pressured to like do anything. No one's like, sorry, let me start again.
Don't worry.
I guess the key things have been the more mistakes you make, the more you learn. And that's helped me get out of my shell a lot more, because like I'm not afraid to take risks. I'm not afraid to fail and stumble, as I've stumbled in this answering this question. But yeah, the more mistakes and the more tries that you've successfully achieved, the more you're going to be closer to the end goal.
I know for you growing up, you were you love Shakespeare, and you actually were part of a Shakespeare company in high school. I'd love to hear a bit about that. I thought that was really fascinating. So it seems like you are still very interested in acting, and that's something that I've always thought about. I've kind of learned over time that that's not really my thing. I love voice acting though. I know a few things, but like for you, like kind of, I want to hear more about like your experience growing up, like acting. Were you involved in a lot of plays? Did you have a lot of friends who were also interested in the same thing as well? I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, I'll keep going back to the high school thing, because it's a big part of where like how I grew up and a big part of like my story. But I was surrounded by a bunch of actors and a bunch of musicians and a bunch of people that were like-minded. So it was a very good what's the word? It was a very good playground for me to like learn in. And I stumbled across this Chekhov workshop, and Chekhov is this Russian playwright, and I was like, I don't really understand what this is, so I just snuck into the class, and next thing you know, I was given this scene to just like right off the bat just do. And the director of the conservatory was there, and he was like, "Oh, you're actually really good at this classical stuff. Do you want to audition for the Shakespeare company that I'm a part of?" And I was like, "Yeah." I know nothing about Shakespeare at this point. I was like 13. So I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll do whatever. Yeah." So I auditioned for Romeo and Juliet, and it was this incredible experience because I was surrounded by a bunch of working actors in Hollywood who just like have this passion of Shakespeare, and I got to like immerse myself in this community. So most of the things that I've learned acting wise have been just like observing them. So it was just like really cool experience for like a young actor.
And that's really great to hear that you were able to learn in the environments that you were in. Because I find that for me too, being in any environment, you can learn a lot, and which is why I love doing these interviews. Because number one, you're able to meet amazing people, but number two, you're able to learn lessons from these conversations, and that's something that hearing what you just mentioned there is super valuable and super important. You know, and also in high school, you took dance classes as well, and so music. I know I've seen a lot of your stories online. You know, you've got a lot of instruments. You're learning that, and you really want to. I believe you want to release an EP. You want to kind of get started into music, and that's something that I also found very encouraging. You know, balancing multiple different things at the same time. It can be challenging, but you can also enjoy a lot from it. You know, kind of fast forwarding to, I guess, you know, the main subject of the interview. You know, Big Shot. That must have been a crazy opportunity, crazy experience. And I've talked with people kind of in that similar situation. Recent interview was with a guy who was lucky enough to, for again, a Disney project for the film Mars Needs Moms, do the voice of the main character. You know, even though the film was kind of a flop, he had that opportunity. And kind of for you, I would love to hear just briefly how this happened, just like straight on the bat, like how this happened, like how this played out.
Yeah, I have been auditioning in Hollywood before then, for a couple
Mm-hmm.
of years while I was in high school. But I got this audition right after I graduated, and I didn't think much about it. It was just like this normal audition. And then a week later, I got this call saying that, like, hey, they want to test you for this show. And I was like, okay. And I was just like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And it was this basketball show. So they were like, I hope you know how to play basketball. And I was like, I can learn. I can learn.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, it just came from there. I had this amazing management team backing me
Mm-hmm.
up, and it just happened.
And that must have been a great opportunity for you. And that went on for 2 seasons. And I was looking through this, and that must have been really crazy. You mentioned, you know, basketball. Did you have any prior experience in basketball, you know, before this, or was it just completely, you know, I don't know?
Yeah, I played a little bit in middle school. It was just like, a small like little thing that I did. And my dad is like a huge basketball fan. So I had some sort of experience, but not too much. Like I had to
Mhm.
relearn the day we auditioned. So like I kind of knew what a layup was, not really. But at the end of this whole audition process, there was this amazing basketball coordinator, and she taught us from the ground up how to play the game.
That's really good that was able to happen. And of course, it would need to teach all the people involved. You mentioned your father loves basketball. Was he able to help you a lot, you know, with kind of understanding how the game works as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. While I was preparing for the audition, I was like, "Hey, Dad," I called him
Mhm.
immediately. I was like, "I need to learn how to play basketball again," and he picked up the ball, and we went to a park, and we just shot hoops for like hours on end.
That's crazy. You must be very proud to see, you know, go through this entire show and, you know, have this opportunity. I'd love to hear, you know, there's so many amazing people on this show. You know, John, he's one of the main actors for the show. What was it like? Was it like meeting him when working with him? Because, you know, he's a Hollywood actor. He's been around all the around all the places, you know, being involved in all these crazy projects. I guess, question is, what did you learn from him, and what did he teach you? I guess some lessons that you learned from working with him.
The biggest thing that I've learned from him is that no matter how old you are, no matter how seasoned of an actor you are, there's always a sense of playfulness that has to be there, in order for something to work. He's just such a goofball, and he
Mhm.
just like makes every situation so comfortable to be around. And he's just like, I was intimidated when I first met him because I was like,
Mhm.
okay, he's John Stamos. He's been in this industry forever. But no, he just like he was a normal person, and he was the funniest guy that I've ever met. So yeah, working with him has just been a godsend.
Great to hear that you're able to, you know, connect and have a great time and enjoy this experience. Because I know a lot of the times in these environments, people are like, oh, you know, always be serious. But sometimes, you know, it's always good to, you know, have fun and enjoy this experience. I'd love to hear about your effort in, you know, becoming this character, because I know a lot of people have different tricks and, you know, they use to practice. And I know one individual I spoke to wrote a journal as the perspective of his character. I wanted to kind of hear how you did this for your character, Carolyn, how this worked out.
Yeah, Carolyn or Mouse.
Yeah.
She well, fortunately had very similar attributes to me. I really drew from the fact that I was like very perfectionistic, um very goal oriented with what I was doing. And she just has the biggest heart. So I drew from all of those characteristics. And I did some inner work for myself. I do this like actor meditation thing.
Mhm.
That's been like really helpful for just any form of acting. Um yeah, it's just like drawing from parts of yourself makes the character more authentic, I feel like, rather than um pretending to have all these characteristics. I did a little bit of the journal work,
Mhm.
and that's been helpful. We had this huge chunk of time between, like in the pandemic, where we wouldn't be able to shoot. So I did a lot of like inner character work for that.
Being able to have that opportunity to be able to write and do the journaling, I find that very valuable. I find a lot of people don't write journals anymore, and I need to start writing in my journal. But being able to write in the perspective of the character, that helps a lot because you're able to kind of become the character. Working with all these other people, can you kind of share like the some of the, maybe I guess one of your favorite experiences throughout this series that you really enjoyed, that I guess like has impacted you to today, like just a fun, awesome experience that happened with you on the set?
Yeah, I there was a lot of music surrounding the set. John is a huge music fan. He plays guitar. That's one thing that we connected with.
Mhm.
And he has connections to the Beach Boys. He's actually touring with them right now.
Okay.
But yeah, he really like sparked my interest, that should I say, in music and the guitar. And he just really encouraged me to like play as often as I could, which became like an outlet for me because we were working 12-hour, 14-hour days. So I really needed like a creative outlet rather than acting. Um, and my co-star, Darcy Rose, she writes these incredible original songs, and she just inspired me to write my own songs. So that's where really the music foundation really took place for me.
Kind of, with music, what's kind of your musical journey looking like right now? I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. I know you have like 10 guitars, two banjos. I mean, probably got a lot more than that, but like, what's music been looking like for you outside of acting?
Yeah, right now it's been like learning from guitar players that I really enjoy and learning from singers that I really enjoy and finding my own voice within that. Um, right now it's just been like an outlet for me. And
Mhm.
my process for writing music lately has been like whatever happens, happens. I'm not going to force myself to like sit down and write because it feels very formulaic for me. So if I have like an idea, I'll just like write it down and I'll if something sparks that idea, I'll just like go back and like write the song, but I'm not gonna like force anything.
Right, right. And with music, do you have like any big dreams and goals that you have with that?
Yeah, recording music has been like the best thing for me. Like I really want to keep doing and like recording music. I have a bunch of like friends who record music and they're like really supportive in my dreams and accomplishments there. But like I guess a big hurdle for me is like performing on stage live
Mhm.
because I'm very perfectionistic. So as you know, like doing anything live just like is a cause for mistakes.
Mhm.
Um, but I I think that's the next step, like getting rid of the fear of being on stage and getting rid of the fear of being imperfect because we all are imperfect.
Exactly. And you're exactly right there. Nobody's perfect. Being able to stand on the stage, you can learn from that experience, or you can uh, just not be afraid of that. And hopefully you're able to get past that barrier and you're able to perform, because it'd be really great to see you having these dreams, and being able to accomplish also your talents in music. Going back to film and stuff. What are some of the if you can share, what are some of the cool things that you have upcoming? I know one of the things that I came across, IMDb was saying, and I'm like, huh, I thought that was pretty cool, It's called, I forget the name. Maybe it's called And One. Maybe that's what it's called. I don't know. It's a project that you might have come. I'm not sure if that's just IMDb fooling around here. But yeah, I just wanted to hear a bit more. I mean, I know what kind of things are coming for the future.
Yeah, it's another basketball related film. It's a not a short film. It's a indie film
Right.
about a Filipino basketball player, and I play one of the supporting characters, and it's a really cool cast. I'm really excited for everyone to see it. But it's also like there's some musical aspects, which is really fun to like work with. And the directors are really cool. And yeah, as far as like upcoming things, I'm just like auditioning for stuff right now.
Mm-hmm. And what's your auditioning process look like? Because I know a lot of people have different auditioning processes. So I'd love to like just hear about that because you mentioned that.
Yeah, I would generally get the script from my managers or agents,
Mm-hmm.
and I would highlight all my lines, go through any character work, like find anything that's related to me, like any
Mm-hmm.
characteristics related to me, draw from that, and then if I can't relate to any of the things that they're going through, I'll just like do some imagination work and make it as real as possible in my head. I try not to like dwell too much on the lines because like that's where you feel like you're just like memorizing lines and just like saying it. Um, which is part of acting, but like the hard part of acting is making the lines feel organic after you memorize them. So yeah, just a lot of
Mm-hmm.
listening and a lot of inner character work.
I haven't actually asked a question to any of the actors I've interviewed before, but I'd love to ask you this. What are some tips and tricks that you would recommend to people young people, I guess, who want to become actors or want to, what are some good tips and tricks that you've learned that you would love to share with some people who are listening to this?
Yeah, I definitely say do anything you think would help. Do anything you can get your hands on. If it's like a community theater production, or if it's like this weird Shakespeare production, or this weird like Shakespeare class workshop, whatever you can get your hands on. Anything is helpful for your toolbox as an actor. Um, and just like surround yourself with creative people because you learn so much from just doing. And
Mhm.
if if you're just like creating things, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just like it's one step to where you're going, you know?
I feel like that will be very valuable because I know a lot of people listen to this, like do plays. A lot of my friends here are involved in plays. And so having that information will be very valuable for them because I know they want to become professional, or at least they want to become successful through that. Kind of a question I always ask all my guests. It kind of goes back to what you just said there, but it's just an in general question. Like, what's one thing you would like to pass to anybody who's listening to this that you want them that they can apply to the everyday life, like something that's just, educational, just something that's valuable that you want to share with them?
I think as an artist, I think it's valuable to remember that nothing is set in stone. Nothing is going to be a complete project. It's just like when a project is complete when you feel like it's complete. And that's just like a snapshot in time for you. Um, you can come back to that project and like tweak some things later on, but like when you complete a project, it's just like, oh, this was me at like 21. This was me going through this journey in life while I was creating this thing. This is a symbolization of who I was as a person.
That's very valuable. I think that my listeners will really appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming down and sitting here and just talking about your life. I think a lot of the things that we covered are very valuable, and I think our listeners will be impacted by this. And I'll leave in the description where people can find your stuff and they can support you in what you're doing.